Welcome aboard the fourth flight of our U.S. tour. This is going to be a flight from Aspen to Lincoln, Nebraska, as we continue towards the Great Lakes. Previous legs are on YouTube and Twitch. That is, we started at Half Moon Bay, San Francisco, went to Henderson Executive, just outside of Las Vegas, then from there to Sedona, Arizona. Very nice, beautiful airport there up on a plateau. From Sedona, Arizona, we came here to Aspen, Colorado, which is arguably the most famous mountain airport in the U.S. Might be one of the most famous in the world. It's definitely in the top 10. But it's arguably the most famous in the U.S. It's also an interesting one because you got mountains on that side of the runway, valley on that side. So everybody coming in comes in from over there, lands on the runway here. Everybody going out doesn't want to go out that way, so we go out that way. And usually the winds are calm enough that we can get away with that. So instead of coming in or going out over there, which is dangerous and mountains and oh god, we come in and out over there and it's valley, and then you climb out of the valley and then you're good to go. Weather today is good, so we'll go off of 33, no problem. In the event that you get a really strong wind going down 33 to the point where you'd exceed tailwind limits, you do have a couple options. Option one is if you have a sufficiently high best climb angle out of here, you can go off of 15 and just it's a dog climb all the way up, and you're holding that VX all the way out. And realistically, you're trying to get enough terrain clearance that you can safely turn and get into the valley. And you're turning to the left because you want to be mountains also more to the right side of the runway there. There's a little less over on this side. But we're going to go off 33 today. So without further ado, let's get this all started up. I'm going to plug in the GPU. And you can see the GPU sitting right back there. Just leave it there till it gets started up. So U to Navcom, U to MFD, U to MFD. Load in our flight plan. Alright. GPS finished initializing and now we're popped in. The flight plan's loaded, so let's go ahead and get through our initialization here. System tests.
Higher. Higher.
Oh.
Higher. 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 Stall. Stall. Stall.
And we're obviously hoping that's the only time the entire flight we hear those two sounds. Fuel on board is loaded. Weight imbalance. Okay, we have 200 pounds of crude stores. That is correct. Alright. Flight plan is loaded, accept initialization. Oops. Next step is checklist before engine start. And here we go. Pre-flight inspection is complete. Doors are latched. Parking brake is set. FAT 1 and 2 are on. Turn on Gen 1 and 2. Those are on. GPU is connected. FADEC channel A is indicated. Before start check complete. We're going right into start. Strobe lights are on. Cast messages. I have it GPU connected and parking brake set cast messages. Thrust lever. Yep, we're at idle. Brakes. Holding. Engine up. To run. Fuel pump. I hear the fuel pump and I see the fuel pump message. Other thing I can do is I can go into aircraft systems, engine and fuel, and there's electric fuel pump is on and we're feeding from the right tank. Engine start, bad temp, and engine start volts cast messages are not displayed. That is correct. And start. We monitor the start. We're monitoring N1 and N2 for a hung start. We're monitoring ITT for a hot start. I've got N1 rotation, so we're not seized. N2 is coming up. And ITT is coming down while N2 is stable. That's a good start. Engine instruments, we monitored. Engine system check all normal, yes. Engine ice protection system is not required today. ECS control panel, go ahead and get that set up. Get that air going. External GPU can be disconnected. And they pull them away. And we're going to go ahead and turn on that noise reduction, make it possible to hear ourselves think today. Alright, that's much better. Alright, oxygen master switch. On. Hear the hiss of the oxygen valve opens. Avionics and ITS, we'll go through that real quick. PFD, speed bugs, all on. Go through our engine status pages, or aircraft status pages, sorry. Basically looking for greens in all the right places. Looks good today. Come in here to airport info. I want Aspen, not Lincoln. And frequencies, ATIS.
Aspen Airport information, Kilo 1800 Zulu. Wind 001 at 6. Visibility 10. Sky condition, clear. Temperature, 19er. Dew point, 10. Altimeter tree 0.27. Visual runway tree in use. Landing and departing runway tree. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact, you have Kilo.
Alright, we have Kilo. And we'll load it up during delivery. And we can go ahead and bring our map back up. And avionics.
Aspen clearance delivery, Blue Flame 81 IFR to Dallas, Guam, ready to copy. Blue Flame 81 is cleared to Dallas Guam Airport as filed. Takeoff
I got no
runway
passengers on board today, so
13,000 feet.
that's you
Departure
guys.
frequency is 123.8 square.
Shut that up for a bit. Passenger briefing, that's you guys. I hope you enjoyed this flight to Lincoln, Nebraska. If you do end up enjoying the flight, please follow if you're catching this on Twitch, like and subscribe if you're catching this on YouTube. I tend to stream these, I'd say about 80% of the time on Twitch, and then otherwise I put this up on YouTube, usually 24 to 48 hours after I fly them. So, I hope you enjoy it. If you want to catch more of this, hopefully it's a good, smooth flight for you, and no emergencies happen. Alright, seatbelts are secured. Lead switch is And we're on to the before taxi. So, now unfortunately, we gotta talk to them.
Aspen Clearance Delivery Vision Jet November 216 Bravo Echo ready to copy IFR clearance to Lincoln.
Vision Jet November 216 Bravo Echo is cleared to Lincoln Airport as filed. Takeoff runway tree climb and maintain 14,000 feet. Departure frequency is 123.8 squawk 034 tree.
And 14,000.
Vision Jet November 216 Bravo Echo cleared to Lincoln Airport as filed. Takeoff runway tree climb and maintain 14,000 feet. Departure on 123.8 squawk 034 tree.
Vision Jet 6 Bravo Echo readback is correct. Contact ground on 121.9 when ready to taxi. Good day.
Alright, so I've got departure frequency on COM 2, so we can just switch to COM 2 to go to departure. Ground is queued up on COM 1, and then once we get to ground, we'll queue up tower on COM 1. So, common nav GPS are set. ATIS and clearance has been received. Transponder is set. Heading and initial altitude, working on that. So, want to do nearest airport, Aspen, airport info, runways. No, we'll do charts. So, going off of 33, which is a heading of 331. Alright. Heading is set, altitude is set. Flight controls. Up on my side, down on my side. Up on their side, down on their side. Just make out the tail. That's down. That's up. Perfect. Flight controls are free and correct. Trim coming up to 6 degrees. Flaps going to 50%. Electric roll trim is centered. Toga button has been pressed. And we're going to actually put it in heading mode for the departure. Gas messages. I got prop heat off, parking brake, that's all good. Seats are up and checked. Parking brake. Does not want to be released. I always have trouble with this. There it goes. Parking brake is released. Brakes check. On to the next checklist. Alright, time to get our taxi clearance.
Aspen Ground Vision Jet November 216 Bravo Echo with Lima ready to taxi IFR.
Vision Jet November 216 Bravo Echo Taxi 2 and hold short of runway tree using taxiway Alpha Alpha Niner. Contact tower on 118.85 when ready.
Taxiing, hold short runway tree via taxiway Alpha Alpha Niner Vision Jet 6 Bravo Echo.
Alright. Got our airport chart up. And we're clear for departure. Now we can just avoid hitting anyone on our way out of here. Like that guy who just walked right through a wing. Or that catering truck. We're gonna have to go around the catering truck. I'm assuming that is a player because there is no way that the AI traffic put an Airbus there. It is an Airbus, right? That's not the 787. I think it's an Airbus. I'm assuming that's a player. Watching the building there as I go around this brilliant sky chefs. Alright. Departure briefing. Alright, we're going off at 33 today. Due to terrain and hazards, we don't have a lot of options if something were to go wrong once we're off. So, we are going to be aware that we may need to pop the parachute if we end up in a engine out situation where we're not going to be able to get back to the runway. Our goal, however, will be to return to the runway if something is just not right. Otherwise, if something's not right before takeoff, and then we will stop on the runway. That vehicle just disappeared. That works for me, I guess. If we aren't off by the 2/3 point to the runway, that is to say, by the time we're past the terminal building, then we're going to abort and put it back down. If we are past that point, at something, or before that point, if anything goes wrong, we'll abort on the runway. Anything goes wrong after that point, and we've got that much, or before that point, even if we're off the ground, we can put it back down on the runway. Once we're past the terminal building, we're committed, and we're either going to hopefully get some altitude and be able to circle back, or we're going to have to pop the parachute. Less critical issues we'll assess in the air, and we'll circle in the valley. As far as the actual departure routing today, we're going to be flying through the valley until we are comfortably clear of terrain, and I will be keeping the terrain view up on the PFD here, as well as the synthetic terrain vision. So we'll have lots of terrain guidance as we climb out of here. But we're going to stick to the valley until we're clear of the terrain. And then once we're comfortably clear of terrain, we'll be able to proceed on course. And any instructions from ATC to the counter to that, we will not be following, as terrain avoidance is our #1 priority out of here today. And ATC can deal with that. That's their job, is to deal with us doing our job, which is no hitting the side of the mountain. Alright, so that is departure briefing. Landing lights are on. Probe heat switch, I'm not going to turn on yet because of the 5-minute time limit. I'm going to wait till we are first in line for takeoff. And we do fortunately have the cast message warning us so we don't forget the probe heat. Engine ice protection is not required today. Wing and stabilizer ice protection is not required today. cast messages. Only cast message we have is probe heat off. Trim is at 6. Flaps are 50. No takeoff emergency bad cast message displayed. No concerning cast messages are displayed. Cast messages, so we're good here. And that's the run-up and de-ice areas there. Unfortunately, don't need any of that today. And MFD configuration, 99% complete. We're just going to switch this panel over to terrain once we're done here. Normal takeoff. We are going to do the full brakes held, thrust lever to takeoff today. Verify engine instruments, then release the brakes. Rotated 80 to 90 knots. We're targeting 90 today. Pitch up to 5 degrees. Landing gear up. Flaps coming up at 115 knots and clear of obstacles. And then continue to climb. We want to have our thrust out of takeoff within 5 minutes, ideally within 2 minutes. Today we might push that 2 minutes because I want all that extra power on that initial climb because of the terrain. So we'll see what happens, but I will have a timer going for the thrust setting to make absolutely sure I hit that 5 minute mark. Tune tower. If I get the right frequency. What was that? Alright, we're ready to go.
Aspen Tower Vision Jet, November 216, Bravo Echo, ready for departure runway, tree, IFR to Lincoln.
Vision Jet November 216 Bravo Echo, hold short runway tree. Traffic is generic on upwind.
Hold short runway tree, Vision Jet 6, Bravo Echo.
And that's why I don't turn the probe heat on until actually I have clearance for takeoff. Because now we're sitting here. Terrain map up. Pull up to the bars. And doing so also lets me see a little bit more clearly what traffic I might be waiting for, but I got nothing on the traffic. And we got ATC braking already. I've got no traffic. may be experiencing case of agency braking already.
Aspen Tower, Skywest Tree 06011 miles south inbound, visual runway tree approach. Skywest Tree 060 Aspen Tower. Altimeter tree 0.26 wind tree 41 at 7. Cleared visual runway tree approach. Cleared visual runway tree approach, Skywest Tree 060.
Alright, so we're giving up on them and we're just gonna go. So, brakes held. Takeoff thrust set. Timer is started. Engine instruments are all green. Takeoff thrust is stabilized. We are on the correct heading. We're looking for a 3-3 on the runway as we roll. There's my 3-3. And rotate.
Vision Jet 6 Bravo Echo, you were not cleared to take off.
Yes, I know. Gears up and locked.
Skywest Tree 060, follow the aircraft on upwind. Wind tree 41 at 7. Cleared to land runway tree. Cleared to land runway tree, Skywest Tree 060.
Alright.
Skywest Tree 060, contact ground on 121.9er.
1 minute and 9 seconds in takeoff thrust. I'm very happy with that. As we are climbing away here, and we're in the pocket, as it were. Spots are coming up.
Skywest Tree 060, go around.
Now, we're gaining some comfortable altitude. Still sticking to the right side of the
Skywest Tree 060, did you copy?
Now that we're getting above the train,
Skywest Tree 060,
good.
please acknowledge.
we continue to accelerate. Still climbing, but I want to accelerate gently here. And I'm also going to arm the FMS as we turn on course here.
Aspen Tower, generic November for 905 Echo Charlie, ready for departure runway tree IFR to Teterboro. Generic November for 905 Echo Charlie, hold short runway tree. Traffic is generic on upwind.
We get the flaps coming up, tune up the aircraft, and start to get
Hold short runway tree, generic 5 Echo Charlie. Skywest Tree 060, contact Aspen approach on 123.8. Good day. .8 Skywest Tree 060.
I gotta ignore the roll on the flight director. Need to turn off heading mode. There we go. The flight director's trying to get me to go at 33, but that's no longer what we want. We're trying to get headed en route. Alright, we're giving up on ECC today. Couldn't get us takeoff clearance. Now they've forgotten
Exigent
about us.
427 descend and maintain 12,000 feet. Jet 427.
So yeah, ATC
Exojet
is
427 descend and
now.
maintain 13,000 feet.
We're just gonna turn them off. Oops, that's way too high. Going forward, flight level 290. Yep. Got our altitude target. FMS is coming in. This wouldn't be a bad time to start our climb checklist. Alright, thrust lever is no longer in MCT. Engine parameters are green. Cabin pressure did pressurize. Ice protection is not required today. And altimeter, we will transition it 18,000 feet. Turn ever so gently toward the new course. And periodically watching for traffic. And watching outside for traffic. And SMS navigation has engaged. Basically at this point I'm going to be watching for SMS needles to center. Trying to line up the flight director so I can turn on the autopilot. Goal here is always smooth transition to autopilot. And then with that in place, turn on the auto throttle, which pulls us back a little bit into proper climb power, as we were in MCT or max continuous thrust. We're technically somewhere right between climb and max continuous thrust. But we're now on the autopilot. We're on the auto throttle. We've given up on ATC yet again because, well, yeah. ATC is kind of useless. I'm going to change the viewpoint here for the primary flight here so I can just kind of monitor. And at this point I think we'll get the music on and just enjoy this trip for a while. We got quite a ways to go to Lincoln, Nebraska. Adjust this down so I have access to one of these easy so I can manipulate all of the MFD panes as I need to. without having to change the camera angle. So, we're all set. I got the camera locked in. I've turned off the head tracking so I can just kind of enjoy the flight as we head to Lincoln, Nebraska, by way of Denver. We actually literally are going to fly over Denver, not next waypoint, but the one after. But in the meantime, I'm going to get the music coming back on, and we're just going to have a chill time. Alright, so we've got a fuel low left indication. That is something to be alert to, because it looks like we are actually burning fuel a little bit faster than was planned. That said, we have an hour of fuel left, and that's before we start our descent here, which is going to be at pretty close to idle. So we should be okay. But I'm going to go ahead and reset my viewpoint here, get my head tracking back on, and we're going to start to buckle down. I mean, we were close to top of descent as it was, so we'll go ahead and pay attention to that. Fuel load total now is flashing. So this is, I mean, we saw this coming. Can't make up its mind. I saw that coming when the fuel load left lit up. So this is something we need to watch out for. We have 1 hour and 3 minutes of fuel remaining. If I come back and look at our flight plan, I mean, we're going into top of descent in just a minute or two here. So like, yeah, we're expected to be on the ground in about 30 minutes. We're going to be a little bit low on our planned fuel. So this is actually, this is the kind of thing you watch for, right? This would be an urgent situation. You know, we're definitely minimum fuel. I don't have fuel to be playing around with at Lincoln, but we do have the fuel to make it to Lincoln, and realistically at this point Lincoln is our best option anyway, as we're basically at top of descent into Lincoln. So I can't like divert somewhere else and get there sooner because Lincoln. Literally where we're headed. I mean, I even could go nearest airport. I've technically got a couple of closer ones, but like by the time I picked one of those and started descending, would be circling instead to do our descent. We have the fuel. It's not great, but we have the fuel. You know, we're going on to now our descent. There's top of descent. So, decision made. We are continuing to Lincoln. We're considering this a minimum fuel status. I mean, there is an airport we could land at right there. But, like, our best option is Lincoln. Because we're already on a comfortable top descent here into Lincoln. And so we'll monitor the situation. And see, now it says we got an hour and 46 minutes remaining because we're at low thrust, so we'll monitor the situation. Our alternate was 20 minutes away, so we definitely are lower fuel than we should have been at this point. I don't know if that was increased headwind. I'd have to double check our flight plan. No, we had a tailwind. It's possible I didn't load enough fuel, although I did double check that. Of course, I double checked that before I started recording, so nobody can prove it. There's no evidence. Yeah. Not sure how that happened, but at this point, it's just the name of the game is to monitor, and we're we're fine. We have enough fuel to get to Lincoln safely, and the weather's good in Lincoln. I'm not worried about a diversion there. Speaking of the weather in Lincoln, I go to Lincoln weather. Got winds out of 297 at 18 gusting 26. Visibility 7 miles. No clouds reported. Altimeter 29er 79er. Alright, that is set. So thrust levers as required. It's hopefully near idle. Get us some range here. Landing field elevation, I have confirmed that. Ice protection is not required today. Altimeter transition altitude, local setting. We could go ahead and set that as we're going to be continuing through 18,000 feet. Seats and seatbelts are secure. Approach briefing. We're not doing an approach briefing today, really, because we're going to be doing a visual into whatever runway Lincoln is using. Thanks to ATC in Flight Sim glitching out and not picking an approach for us. We probably would have been on an ILS approach, but we're doing a visual. It'll be a fourth visual on this tour. I think we've done a visual on every lake so far. We did visual into Henderson, we did visual into Sedona, we definitely did visual into Aspen. Now we're doing a visual approach into Lincoln. We'll get an instrument approach, I swear. Maybe. Yeah, our approach briefing is pretty straightforward. We'll double check a couple things. So, field elevation is 11,090 feet. You could say 1,200. So pattern elevation is going to be 2,200 feet. And we're expecting 36, which is a left-hand pattern. Although, where we're coming from, we'll probably get approved to enter base. Go ahead and get the
Lincoln Airport information, Oscar 2000 Zulu. Wind 272 at 1 tree. Visibility 10. Sky condition 6,400 feet scattered. Temperature 30. 2.10. Altimeter 29.72. Visual runway tree 5 and ILS Yankee runway tree 6 in use. Landing and departing runway tree 5 and runway tree 6. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact. You have Oscar. Lincoln Airport information, Oscar 2000 Zulu.
Alright. We're
Wind
going to
273
36.
at 1 tree. Visibility 9er. Sky condition 6,400 feet scattered. Temperature 30. 2.10.
Alright, so we're going to 36. Approach briefing complete. These are in the normal upright position. Ice protection is not required today. Landing light is on. The flaps to 50% when we get into the pattern. We're going to start slowing down here. 200 knots. Alright. Alright, well, let's get our approach speed 86 knots. 76 knots to be right. Means 86 knots approach.
Lincoln Tower Vision Jet November 216 Bravo Echo is 28 miles west, 12,800 feet, with Oscar to land.
Vision Jet November 216 Bravo Echo Lincoln Tower. Altimeter 29.81127 tree at 1 tree. Enter left traffic runway tree 6.
Enter left downwind runway tree 6, Vision Jet 6, Bravo Echo.
Alright. Shift our VNAV target, which does cause us to descend a little aggressively, which is also good for our fuel. And get close. For 175. Slow down as we approach. Slower speed means less fuel burn for one, to a point, but also means now we're set up to configure flaps and gear for approach. We'll move on into our landing checklist. Cabin pressure is nearly depressurized as we come down. And a feeling that's airfield out there just off my nose. I'll know for sure in a little bit. Yeah, that's definitely the airport. Turn towards it here. Then coaxing the aircraft down. So, were this the real world, I would have contacted ATC about my fuel status and advised them that I was in fuel emergency status. But this is not the real world. Alright, so runway 36 is the chunk of pavement sticking off to the right of the airfield there. That's what I'm trying to line up with. I'm gonna get slowing down. Go ahead and bring in flaps of 50%. We're at 2,000 feet AGL now. Normally considered bad form to descend on pattern altitude like this, but and that wind is something else. Alright. Gear down, flaps coming down.
Vision Jet 6 Bravo Echo wind 2907 at 18. Cleared to land runway 36.
Clear to land runway 36, Vision Jet 6, Bravo Echo.
we're gonna just get the flight director off. It is not helping me today. I need some power. I need some power. I need some power. There's the runway. I got flaps down, gear down and locked. Cabin pressure is coming down. Windshield ice protection is off. Autopilot is off. Airspeed is stabilizing. Got the Crosswinds from the heck out here today. So I'm gonna land a little bit on the fast side. Just looking to center up. Come on. Alright, yaw damper is coming off. So now can kick the nose over, which is necessary to keep this thing flying down the runway. Losing some frames here too, which is not helping things. Because, yeah, it's a little hard to keep this float. To fly this when it's not fluid.
Stall. Stall. Stall.
And there's a random
Vision Jet 6 Bravo Echo exit runway when able.
tug. Alright, so, man, this crosswind. I got like maybe 20% rudder in just to keep it straight down the runway now. Crosswind is ridiculous.
Vision Jet 6 Bravo Echo turret next taxiway.
Alright.
Vision Jet 6 Bravo Echo exit runway when able.
Yes, yes, I'm exiting the runway soon. Alright, flaps are coming up. IPS is off. Probe heat is off. External lights. Landing light is coming off. Do a final brake check after we clear the runway.
Vision Jet 6 Bravo Echo contact ground on 121.9er.
That was an interesting one with that crosswind.
.9er for Vision Jet 6 Bravo Echo.
Alright, we're parking basically straight ahead here. So we'll get off the runway. It's difficult good form to go until you can't see the dashes any longer. Before you come to a stop. So, alright, that's the brake check. I'm ignoring ATC ground control because they're going to send me somewhere who knows where. And I'm just going to park at this ramp straight ahead because this is where the FBO at this airport is. Terminal's behind me, but the FBO that I would be parking at is on this ramp here. Cargo ramp's the south end. North end is the FBO.
Lincoln Tower Silverhawk Tree 90 at runway tree 5 ready for departure IFR to Kilo Mike Lima Echo. Silverhawk Tree 90 altimeter 29.79 wind 297 at 18. Cleared for takeoff runway tree 5.
That was definitely a challenging landing, but it was a safe landing considering
Cleared
the
for takeoff runway
conditions.
tree 5 Silverhawk Tree 90.
The other thing I'll say about that landing, because it's relevant, is what was with that tug? I don't see any marshals or anybody out.
Silverhawk Tree 90 contact Omaha departure on 124.0. Good day.
So I'll just park next to this Cessna here.
124.0 for Silverhawk Tree 90.
Alright. Get our viewpoint back down panel here. Get the parking brake set. And double check the after landing checklist. Yeah, that all got done. Alright, we'll do a quick debrief here. So, a couple of things that I wish had gone better and wish I had done better. So those things I'm going to work on in future flights. That landing, I wish I would have been more on Central Line early, been more aggressive about my run correction. Yes, I was on the runway, but I should have been more centered. That's bad form. That's just, yes, it was a rough crosswind, but it was certainly a landable crosswind, which means it should have been a landable on the center line crosswind. So that's a disappointment for me that I was so far up downwind of the center line. Of course, playing into that a little bit, what was the frame rate tanked on me on approach. I don't know why, but that tanking frame rate, that hurt, because it made it hard to know what was happening, because my control inputs would take 2 to 3 frames to have an impact, and I just, it was so far behind the effect of my control input to what was actually happening. Second thing I wish I had done better is kept a closer eye on my fuel. I should not have landed such a low level of fuel. What did we actually end up landing with?
Lincoln Tower Flights Jet Tree 707 miles south inbound for DME runway tree 6 approach. Flights Jet at
We ended up landing with
370
48
Lincoln
gallons
Tower.
of fuel, which
Altimeter
is
29.79er wind 297 at 18. Cleared for your DME runway, tree 6 approach.
technically that was legal fuel.
Airport information, Oscar 2100.
Nope, not what I wanted. Technically, we landed with legal amount of fuel, but yeah, I'm not happy with how much. With my fuel planning, did not properly cross-check that during the flight like I should have, and obviously, cast the messages are telling us this. And then the last thing that I wish I would have gone a little bit better is the round out and flare. Yes, it was a good, safe landing. No, it was not a good landing. In addition to the off-center line, I was high through most of the approach. That resulted in a adventurous round out and flare. And we did actually get stall alert prior to touchdown. And you don't really want that. Yes, you can get it. No, it's not the end of the world. As long as you're not actually in your stall at the point before you hit the ground. And I kept in the power because I knew with the wind being weird and with my high altitude, I needed that power a little bit longer. And I'm glad I did, because otherwise that would have actually turned into a stall crash. Or a go around. One of the two. So, I'm glad I had the power. I'm glad that when the stall alert did come on, I was basically on the ground. And so I just kind of let it sink a little bit and settle onto the ground at that point. Made it a little bit harder of a landing than expected, but not the worst I could have done. So, that is my debrief, things I wish would have gone better. And now that we've been sitting here idle for a bit, let's go ahead and get through our shutdown checklist. Thrust lever is confirmed at idle and has been for more than 2 minutes. 4 minutes and 45 seconds technically. Engine ice protection is off. Bleed air is fresh. Oxygen switch is off. Lights coming off. Engine knob to off. Engine button press. And we're now watching it spin down. We're watching for N2 below 24%, which does not take long to happen. And cap spin replaced, which it has been. Gen 1 and Gen 2 off. Bat 1 and Bat 2 off. Parking brake is set. Egress door pin has been replaced. Aircraft secure. That is our flight. 1 hour, 38 minutes, and 47 seconds. Aspen to Lincoln with 0 takeoffs and 1 landing because Flight Sim doesn't understand how physics works. So that happened. Thank you for riding with me today. Through a really interesting approach. Hope you enjoyed that flight. I do apologize for the chaos of that landing. But thank you for flying with me. If you did enjoy this flight, feel free to follow if you're on Twitch, like and subscribe on YouTube. And until next time, fly safe.